We at Promasidor Ghana take issues of environmental sustainability very importantly because this has a bearing on the community that we serve and the future of our own business. As we are all aware, the issues of global warming and pollution all across the world are a major issue to sustainability of our own very environment. And to produce and serve our communities and to ensure that our own business has a future, sustainability is not anything we can push under the carpet. Yes. To address some of the issues, we're supporting community initiatives on tree planting, which is something we believe will help us in reducing the net effect of greenhouse gases. As a business, our activities pretty much contribute towards the emissions in our environment. We cannot deny that fact. As a responsible organization, we can take steps to ensure that we are mitigating the impact of our activities on the environment.
So this partnership between Promasidor Ghana and Safisana covers all our waste emanating from our production processes here at Promasidor Ghana Limited. We deliver all the waste to Safisana, who then treats in an environmentally friendly manner in accordance to the regulations and requirements of the Environmental Protection Agency of Ghana, and then churn out useful outputs in the form of biogas and organic fertilizer. So Promasidor delivers organic waste from our production processes from all our factories and warehouses. That includes our dairy and cereal process waste, as well as our seasoning powder and tablets, so onga seasoning powder and onga tablets production waste.
My name is Aart van der Beukel. I'm the founder, managing director of Safisana. I'm based here in Ashaiman, and here we have the recycling plant where we treat fecal sludge and organic waste to produce biogas and a fertilizer. We started operations here in 2017 after doing a few trials here in the Ashaiman area working with fecal sludge. And we've been able to grow the business over the past years in collaborating with various industries, food processing industries, and further building the portfolio and also producing more biogas, treating more fecal sludge and fertilizer. So that means that the impact of Safisana has grown over the years.
This partnership enables the actualization of our commitment as a business to going green, being eco-friendly, and preserving the environment in which we operate. By this partnership, even the waste from our production processes and the general operation of this business positively impacts humanity.
For Safisana, fecal sludge treatment is what we need to work on, right? And that alone is, in order to do that more successfully, you need to add organic waste. It's quite a technical process, but that will help us to produce a better fertilizer to generate more gas. So in a collaboration with a company like Promasidor, it really helps us to increase the byproduct that we produce. So biogas and the fertilizer. And I think the fact that we've been working together now for almost a year is showing that if it's a long-term relationship, you can actually start planning around it. And you know what to expect in the coming year and the next year. Can we further increase capacity for treatment? And by adding valuable waste streams like from Promasidor, it will allow us to treat more fecal sludge. So that's the thing we can keep working on together.
My name is Paul Adima. I'm a quality assurance supervisor with Promasidor Ghana Limited, and I'm in charge of prerequisite programs in the company. As part of monitoring of those programs, I oversee the waste process, that's the in-process waste of the company, all through right from the factory to processing point, all the way to the recycling plant at Safisana. Basically, the waste comes to a location in the factory where an operative receives it and then bags it into 25 kg bags. We use the red polish to indicate waste, which is part of our standard procedures in the company. The idea is to ensure that there's uniformity, and then we have a uniform weight that we are transferring to the red location, which is behind me. The waste is palletized and then stretch wrapped, and then finally tagged at the factory location, then transported into at the rest shed behind me. At the rest shed, we receive these products here. We sort them out and then arrange them neatly onto into the rest shed room. Then we put it on a lock and key. On the date of recycling, we have 2 haulage trucks that come from Jacob Lauren. We load these 25 kg bags, waste bags, onto bigger corrugated boxes, and then we stretch wrap. Then the forklift transports it onto the haulage trucks. These are then moved to Safisana for recycling. At Safisana, we are received by Michael, who is the sourcing manager for Safisana.
My responsibility is to ensure source organic waste in the right quantity and the quality that will be good for our production of our biogas and also compost production. And doing this, we saw different streams of organic waste. Some waste come from our food markets, Osama community and other places. We also source waste from abattoir, and also we source waste from even the sawdust industry and other places, and all these things put together for our production. So what I do is that I do engagement with these people, especially industrial waste. So which one of them is Promasidor. So before we got in Promasidor, we had to do engagement with them for them to agree that okay, now they want to go into green emission, also want to treat their waste in a sustainable way. So when they agreed, we had to pick sample for them to do our quality checks of the waste, that is the seasoning and dairy products, if it fits into our system, which from our quality lab at Safisana, it passed the test. So we started receiving Promasidor waste for our production.
So before we pick any sample, first we allow the sourcing manager to source the sample to the lab. Analysis is done on first or materials that are first coming into our facility for the first time, and it takes about 2 weeks for us to run a thorough or a final test for us to accept such materials. Materials like seasoning from Promasidor and also dairy from Promasidor all went through this process and were accepted, meaning they passed through the analysis. Now, for us to process these materials, a recipe is sent to the production team where quantities of materials to mix into the digester are stated. These materials are actually fed into the digester to produce quality gas.
And so the team will feed these various waste into the biodigester where microorganisms feed on this biodegradable to generate methane gas. But like we initially said, our feeding is skewed towards maximizing gas generation because we, at the onset, knows and establish the potential of each of the sources that comes into our plant. And so once we feed into the biodigester, we are sure plus or minus the estimated gas that would be generated, we should stay within. Once the gases are generated, our combined heat and power plant, which runs solely on methane gas, then converts this gas into heat and power. We have a 100 kilowatts hour plant that runs to feed the grid with green energy to augment what independent power producers and the rest are producing onto the main grid to feed the populace. The next stage of our operation has to do with the removal of the residue here in the digestate that remains. Because it's a closed loop system, we have to remove part of the old material in the system so that we can make room for the fresher material to be introduced. Our current capacity allows us to have at least about 33 days retention time. And the retention time here, we are referring to how long a particular material fed into the digester have to stay within the digester before it gets pumped out. And so once we have achieved this retention time, the material is then pumped onto the drying beds, which basically is a filtration media where we allow the liquid actually to drain through pipes into our water treatment plant, and then the sludge or digesters will remain on top of the bed over a period of time to dry under the atmosphere or atmospheric condition over a period of time, and then harvested manually for our co-composting to start.
This sludge is also co-composted with market waste. During the process of composting, temperatures are taken as well as moisture content are also monitored. It takes about 90 days for our composting process to be completed.
And once that we are certified that it's matured, we then process it into what we call a Safisana compost for farming purposes, which actually can improve the soil fertility and improve yield of farmers by 20%. Thank you.
My name is Reverend Elvis Owusu-Apia. I'm the senior agronomist in charge of crop production, as a matter of fact, commercial crop production. Safisana is into circular economy. At the end of the production processes, we have two products, electricity and then compost. The compost is what I use to produce vegetables and all manner of crops for commercial purposes. It is gratifying to note that Promasidor is into seasoning products. And as a matter of fact, one of the raw materials needed for this seasoning product is chili pepper, for which Safisana is capable of going into large-scale production. And so we'll be glad to expand the scope of our partnership with Promasidor, to be able to produce chili pepper, for Promasidor in their efforts to produce seasoning products for the consuming community. It's also important that we take this new partnership venture serious, because Safisana has been looking for various options where we can expand the scope of our production, commercial production of vegetables. Since we operate a circular economy, whatever comes from Promasidor, is utilized into the gas production, which eventually produces electricity. And then at the end of it all, we produce also compost. Now the compost is used to produce vegetables, which goes back to the market, for consumption. And then at the end of it all, comes back to Safisana for us to process it. So my duty is actually to close the loop of the circular economy which we are operating. And we wouldn't have come this far without partnering with Promasidor to be able to achieve our vision. Thank you.
So in the relationship between Safisana and Promasidor, I think the key thing is, because we are both businesses, right? You want to be very transparent on what are both needs. And so really understanding that is something we've talked about even in the past few months, and I think that's something we need to continue doing. For now, we are looking at the organic waste streams, and if we can discuss further opportunities to even look at more like let's say a closed loop circular approach between the two of us, we could even look at providing biogas to systems that Promasidor uses, for example, like boilers. And in the long run, we could even investigate in a supply chain that Promasidor works with to sell fertilizer, and that it's a mutual benefit, and that's an effort that can come from Promasidor, and where we can be supportive, and hopefully then we can become big together.
Our partnership with Safisana is very important because some of our ideals of and objectives of Safisana identify with the ideals and objectives of Promasidor. We've been looking for a partner to, in a very environmentally friendly way, process our waste. And the reason we have embarked on this partnership, we believe through this partnership we can contribute positively to solving some of our environmental problems, as waste from our factory is utilized responsibly for fertilizer, the generation of power, just to mention a few. Are we going to do a lot more of this partnership in the future? Yes, as we find like-minded companies with the necessary technology and know-how, we will partner with them to ensure that in the not too distant future, our net impact from the activities of our business on the environment is net zero. Thank you very much.